You ever have one of those moments, where you completely overreact to something tiny, and then you're left wondering, whoa, where did that come from? Well, that intense, out-of-the-blue feeling, that's an emotional trigger. And today, we're going to dive deep into what they are, because understanding them is the first step to actually mastering them, not just getting knocked over by them. Okay, if you remember one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this. A trigger is a time traveler. The last time you got really set off, that sudden spike of anger, that tidal wave of anxiety, it wasn't just a random reaction. No, it was actually a message from your past.
And here's the really wild part. Your nervous system is basically a history book. It learned, a long time ago, what danger or rejection feels like. So when something happens today that even sorta resembles that old memory, your body sounds the alarm like it's happening all over again. The past and present just collapse into one, and you're feeling a memory that doesn't even have words.
Asking this question changes everything, doesn't it? Suddenly, a trigger isn't some enemy you have to fight off. It's a messenger. It's trying to give you some really important information about a wound that needs healing. It's not asking you to react, it's asking you to pay attention. So the real question is, how do we learn to actually listen?
This brings us to a super important crossroads. Our goal isn't to just shut these feelings down. That's called suppression. The mission is to learn how to manage them with awareness. And that, my friends, is emotional regulation. They might sound similar, but believe me, they are worlds apart.
So let's just look at the difference here. Suppression is that quick fix, right? You just stuff it down, pretend it's not there. But those emotions, they don't just vanish. They fester. They crank up your stress hormones, they can weaken your immune system, and they build walls between you and the people you care about. Regulation, on the other hand, well, it's the long game. It's tougher in the moment, for sure, but it's what builds real strength, real clarity, and lets you have those deep, trusting connections we're all looking for. Okay, so if we're going to listen to these messengers, who exactly are they? This is where a really cool framework called Internal Family Systems, or IFS, comes into play. Think of it like a map to your own inner world. So IFS was developed by Dr. Richard Schwartz, and his big idea was this. Your mind isn't just one single thing. It's more like a family, made up of all these different parts of you. We all have them. You know when one part of you wants to stay in and watch TV, but another part is yelling at you to go to the gym? Yeah, those are your parts. And each one has its own job, its own personality, and its own memories.
First up in this inner family, we have the exiles. These are the really young, vulnerable parts of us. They're the ones holding on to the really big, painful feelings from the past. The shame, the fear, the trauma. We've locked them away deep inside because back then, feeling all that was just too much to handle.
Now, to make sure those exiles stayed locked up and safe, we have protectors, called managers. These guys are proactive. They're the planners, the inner critics, the people pleasers. They are working around the clock to manage your life so you never ever have to feel that old pain again. They're trying to keep the whole system running smoothly. But sometimes the trigger is so big that an exile's pain just bursts through the door. And that's when a whole different crew of protectors, the firefighters, come rushing in. Their job isn't to plan, it's to react. Their only goal is to put out that emotional fire immediately, no matter the cost. This is where you see things like angry outbursts, binge watching TV for hours, or just shutting down completely, anything to numb the pain. I know, this probably sounds like a pretty chaotic and dysfunctional family reunion happening inside your head. But here's the most hopeful part of this whole model. IFS says that beneath all of that noise, beneath all those parts, everyone has a calm, compassionate, and confident leader. This is your core self. And the self is known for having these incredible qualities, often called the 8 C's. Just look at them. Calm, curiosity, compassion, courage. This isn't just another part. This is the real you. It's the wise, centered essence of who you are. The self can't be broken, and it's the true source of healing inside of you. The whole goal is to learn to lead your inner family from this place. All right, so we've got our time-traveling triggers, this inner family of parts, and a core self. But how do we actually put all this together and use it when we're in the middle of feeling overwhelmed? Well, that brings us to the practical part, starting a conversation with our parts. But before we even get to the steps, we have to adopt this mindset. This is so important. None of your parts are bad. Even that firefighter part that makes you yell at people you love, it's just trying to protect you. It's stuck in the past, using a really outdated strategy,
but its intention is good. And when we can approach it with curiosity instead of judging it, that's when everything starts to change.
So, the next time you feel triggered, here's what you're going to do. First, just notice. Feel that tightness in your chest, that clenching in your jaw? That's a part talking to you. Second, instead of pushing it away, get curious. Turn your attention inward and ask it, hey, what are you trying to protect me from? Or what are you worried would happen if you stopped doing this? And third, and this feels weird at first, but just thank it, genuinely. Say, I get it. Thank you for working so hard to keep me safe. You would be amazed at how this simple act of validation can calm things down. Now, this whole inner conversation thing, it's not just some nice mental trick. When you do this over and over, you're actually doing something profound. You are teaching your nervous system on a deep level that the past is over, that you're safe now.
And here's the big paradox of it all. We're not trying to get rid of these parts. The goal isn't to silence that inner critic or fire your firefighters. In fact, the more you try to fight them, the louder and more extreme they become. Because you're just proving their point, that you're not safe and they need to protect you. No, the real goal is just to listen. To finally let these parts of you feel seen and heard and understood by your core self. And when they do, they can finally relax. They can let go of the extreme jobs they've been doing for decades. And that inner world of yours, it can go from being a constant battleground to being a cooperative, loving team.
So we end right back where we started. That emotional trigger, it's a visitor, a time traveler from your own history, knocking on your door. It's not an intruder you need to fight. It's a messenger, and it's holding a map to a part of you that is just waiting to be healed. The only question left is, are you ready to open the door and listen?